Well, I certainly appreciate Al extending the opportunity for us to come out this evening. My name is Kevin Tonoian, and I'm the Administrative Services Manager with the City of Santa Clarita. And I wanted to take a few minutes tonight to talk to you about really some great things that are going on the east side of our town in terms of landscape improvements. And there we go. All right. So what I wanted to do was first start off by talking a little bit about what we're doing on Soledad. Soledad Canyon, as I'm sure all of you know, is the area that when the city first incorporated, we started doing our median landscape project, as early as 1990. And, over the last 20 years, those improvements have become dated. We've had issues with irrigation, and they were in need of modernization. So in 2009, we began a process of upgrading our medians. We started at the Bouquet Soledad Junction and what we refer to as phase one of our project. And we put in brand new landscaping adjacent to the junction, and then started working our way east, replacing a lot of the older medians. And you probably remember them. There are some that are still out there with the red brick, very heavily shrubbed, not a lot of color. We went through and started doing that process. Fast forward 2 years, and we went all the way out east to Shadow Pines and started working our way west. And the second phase of our refurbishment project was from Shadow to Luther. That was about 4 miles, and let me flip here. There is what the medians used to look like, and that is just east of, just east of Flower Park, maybe just west of Flower Park. And you can see not a lot of improvements. We had the brickwork in there that created these half moons, and back in the early 90s, that was a way for the city to put those improvements in, but also to be able to minimize the amount of maintenance as well as the amount of irrigation that we use. Well, fast forward to 2011, and what the city did was we went through and we removed those half moons. We put in a landscape palette that really mirrors what you see throughout the community. We have standardized our medians, so whether you are in Canyon Country, Saugus, Newhall, there is a consistent theme in terms of those improvements that you see throughout the community. That was, again, about a 4-mile project. It had a project cost of about $1.3 million. It not only included the replacement and upgrade of all of our landscape improvements, but also the modernization of our irrigation and the installation of purple pipe, which allows us at some point in the future when reclaimed water gets out to this portion of the community to switch from potable to reclaimed water. Moving forward, 2013 into really the first half of 2014, and our plans are to focus on what we refer to as Phase 3 and Phase 4 of Soledad. And what that's going to do is it is going to complete landscaping along the entire Soledad corridor, again from Shadow Pines to the junction. The first phase of that particular project that we're working on right now we refer to as Phase 3. And that's something that we are working in partnership with Newhall Land and their Villa Metro project. The Villa Metro project was conditioned to do raised medians as well as landscaping in the frontage of that project. And as we looked at that, we approached Newhall and asked if there was an opportunity for us to partner with them while they were out there doing that work to take advantage of economies of scale and do a reimbursement agreement with them to have them address not only the infrastructure but also the installation of landscape along the medians that currently did not have landscape, as well as upgrading some of the older ones so we could, again, take advantage of economies of scale as well as expedite those improvements by at least 18 months. So that's what we have out there before. That is a recent photo of work that is happening on Soledad right now. We expect the Phase 3 improvements, which will extend from basically the flyover to the front portion of the speedway. We expect those improvements, along with all the landscaping, to be completed in August of this year. Looks like I'm jumping around here a little bit. Sierra Highway. For those of you who travel up and down Sierra Highway, you notice that we have construction going on right now. We're in the middle of doing about a 3/4 mile of improvements to Sierra Highway to take the existing medians, which were asphalt without landscaping, and what we're doing is we are going through and again creating that consistent look and installing those new landscape amenities along Sierra Highway. That's a project that's currently under construction. We expect that to be completed late July, early August. Sand Canyon. Sand Canyon has been an area that for quite a while we've had the community wanting to know what we can do in terms of additional beautification. The city worked through the MTA call for projects back in 2007, and we were awarded with funding to go do a beautification effort in that particular corridor. It takes a little bit of time for us to work through the process of getting those federal funds. They were out a few years, and then because we are working within the Caltrans right-of-way, we have some work we have to go through them. And with this project, it took about 12 months for us to work through our design. We've completed design with Caltrans. We have their direction to move forward, and we will be awarding a contract at the council meeting next Tuesday evening, June 25th, to move forward with the beautification of this particular corridor. Fast forward there. That is a rendering. It's probably a little small for you to see here. I can let you know that it'll also be, I would imagine, available in the staff report that'll be online tomorrow evening. And what you can see is we're going to be going through and addressing beautification both on the north and southbound side of State Route 14 at Sand Canyon at both on-ramps and off-ramps. It's going to encompass, I believe, the installation of 12 very mature oak trees ranging from 48 box inches to more than 108 box inches, landscape, fencing, and hardscape improvements. That's a rendering. We're looking south on Sand Canyon, or south on Sand Canyon looking north, looking at the southbound portion of the freeway. You can see what it looks like now, and at the bottom what we would anticipate that project will look like once it's been completed and the landscape improvements have had an opportunity to mature. Via Princesa. Via Princesa at Lost Canyon is an area that recently annexed into the city last year as part of the Fair Oaks community. And one of the things that we're going to be working on out there is some entry beautification. We're going to take the existing median right now with just concrete, and we're going to be going in next fiscal year, probably late in the calendar year 2013, and beginning work to install landscape improvements as well as a new city entryway sign based on the fact that that portion of the community is now part of the city of Santa Clarita. Jumping back to Sand Canyon, one of the other things that we're really excited about is, as part of the Sand Canyon beautification project, but separate from what we're awarding at council on Tuesday evening, we are going to move forward and construct a Canyon Country entry monument sign. And this sign will be located on Soledad directly adjacent to the southbound off-ramp and the southbound on-ramp of Sand Canyon. And you can see the area towards the left where the car's at. If we fast forward, that's what the monument sign will look like when that is constructed. Our hope is to have that under construction concurrent to when we are out doing work on the Sand Canyon beautification project. This area is within the Caltrans right-of-way, so again, we have to work through them to secure all those permits. At this point, we are estimating that construction will begin in late 2013. That's dependent upon Caltrans review. It could certainly start sooner than that, but our hope would be that this entry sign will be either completed before or concurrent to when we complete the Sand Canyon improvements. And that is my presentation. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that the group might have. Yes.
What are your plans for White's Canyon?
That's a good question. The council at the beginning of this year, as part of the mayor's goals, one of the goals was to go back out to the community and revisit the discussion of White's Canyon beautification. Staff right now on the special district side, and I oversee the special districts office, we're preparing to go out and to begin an encompassing outreach process with the community. And what we want to do is go out and gauge the community's interest, first and foremost, to find out from them what would they like to see in terms of beautification along that corridor. Rather than go out and bring a lot of renderings and talk about here's what we can do, what we'd like to do instead is take our time. We want to go out there and we want to really meet at more of a grassroots type level. To that extent, our plan is to really go out and approach people on an individual level and ask if they would be interested in us coming to their home, sitting in the living room with some of their neighbors, meeting at a Starbucks, meeting over at the park, and giving the staff an opportunity to sit down and, as part of that first phase, really find out what the community would like to see. What we don't want to do is we don't want to come out and sell. We don't want to sell a certain project. We don't want to sell a certain look. We want to take really the next 6 months through the end of this calendar year and go out and try to meet with as many people as we can in small groups to develop a larger group of stakeholders and to have them give us their thoughts and ideas on what type of improvements they would like to see that we in turn can take back into the office, work with our designers, and come up with some different conceptual designs based on the input we get from the community that we in turn can come back out and share and see what the community's interests are.
Kevin, I have a question as well. On the where you showed the monument sign and you referenced it as a Canyon Country entry sign, I don't see the community of Canyon Country referenced at all. So is it in fact a City of Santa Clarita entry monument sign?
It is a city. Let me go back real quick, and I wanted to point that out. It's hard to see because of your distance, but if you look right there.
So it does reference it.
It does reference Canyon Country. Yes, it does. And that was something that we certainly thought was important, and that is built in that design. And again, it's very consistent with the monument signs that we have built in the last few years in other parts of the community. Mm-hmm.
Kevin,
Yeah.
I understand. Does this work? I understand that Vista Canyon, the new development that's proposed, there's going to be a roundabout going into Sand Canyon. Is that out of your bailiwick, or do you know about that?
I am aware of the Vista Canyon project and the roundabout. As part of the Vista Canyon project, they were conditioned to create a landscape maintenance district. We haven't got to the point yet where we're looking at landscape design. But I'm fairly certain that there will be a landscape component incorporated into that roundabout. Mr. Dunn.
Yes, I don't live on White's Canyon, but I have occasion to use it. And I know down through the years, the problem the city has had is they've wanted those residents in White's Canyon there to pay for this landscaping when residents in other areas of the city were not paying for the landscaping. Now, if it was for their neighborhood only, I could understand that, but they didn't build that big white bridge for that neighborhood. That is a major artery in this community. Everyone uses it. It goes through Plum Canyon over to Bouquet and back and forth. So it's used by the entire community. It appears it should be paid for by the entire community. And I feel as though I could say this because I don't live there. It wouldn't look good, I guess, if Alan, since it lives in the area, he might be biased if he said that everyone should pay for it. But I can say that because I don't live there, but I do use it, and that big bridge was built for everyone to use that thoroughfare through there to the high school and Plum Canyon, et cetera. And then I have a question about roads, if you want to take that separate from the landscaping.
Sure, I'll take the first question first, and that was the question about White's Canyon and the funding mechanism for those landscape improvements. The area that we are going to be proposing to the community in terms of boundaries for beautification will extend at this point from White's and Soledad north to White's and just north of the Steinway area. Soledad is, White's Canyon is one of our major thoroughfares, as Mr. Dunn pointed out, in the community. And back in 2008, the City Council created what we call Landscape Maintenance District 2008-1, and that is an area-wide landscape district that sole purpose is to fund and maintain medians on major thoroughfares, landscape medians on major thoroughfares throughout the city of Santa Clarita. The way that special district was formed, the entire community all has benefit from all of these different medians that are throughout the entire community. Currently, 87% of the parcels in the city of Santa Clarita do pay in to that landscape maintenance district. And going forward, as we start talking about White's Canyon, when the discussion comes up with residents concerning median improvements, that would be something that ultimately the community would go through what is known as a Proposition 218 or protest ballot process to make a decision if they have an interest in annexing in to that area-wide landscape maintenance district zone specifically for the improvements of those medians. You had a question about traffic?
Yes. Well, no, it's actually road surface, and it's on Bouquet Canyon North, actually crossing Centurion Way, which is where the high school. The entire northbound lane has been removed. Someone putting in some huge pipe, and they put back in lumpy black tar that we sometimes refer to it as miracle patch, and it's not pavement, and I don't know if that's temporary, but the city certainly shouldn't accept it. It's dangerous even for the control of the vehicles on it, and it must be 3/4 of a mile long.
Yeah, I understand that one of the water agencies or purveyors recently did some work out there. At least that's my understanding. Whether those improvements are the final improvements or not, I'm not certain. I could certainly ask someone from our Public Works Department, whether it's Mr. Newman, our director, or someone from his CIP group to contact you.
I have no idea how long it's been there. We don't use Bouquet frequently, but I know it's been there over a week or 10 days, and it looked like markings were there to stripe it, and that kind of scared me because if they're going to stripe it, it means they're going to leave it that way. The city should never accept that. Whoever put it in there, that should not be accepted. It's not safe road. They tore a perfectly smooth pavement to put that in.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure if those are the final improvements, and I'm not sure if those are, if that particular section may already be scheduled for a future slurry or overlay where those are going to be addressed. I do know that the council adopted an ordinance several years back that put a moratorium on doing any kind of road work on areas that had been overlaid within the last 5 years.
If we could go back to the White's Canyon in regards to putting in a median,
Yes.
can the city at least maintain the parkways first before we try to put in something else? The parkways along from Soledad all the way up to White's are either full of mulch or bark, and when it rains, it floods that whole community all the way down to the side streets. It floods my entire driveway, and I get bark all over my lawn, all over my neighbor's lawn, and throughout the rest of the community. It's kind of annoying. If you're going to be putting in a median, how about you maintain what you guys already have?
Yeah, and that's a good good segue. I'm not sure if folks have noticed, but along both the portions of Bouquet as well as portions of Soledad, and I just was looking at them again as I was coming out here this evening, the South Parkway of Soledad going eastbound near the Canyon Country Library. For folks who live out in Canyon Country, you may have noticed that in the last couple of months we've done some reforestation projects out there and planted a number of new trees. And as part of that, we went in and we took out a few inches of the existing ground or dirt on that parkway area to put in mulch, so you don't have the situation that you just described going on in the White's Canyon area. And I can tell you that we have been doing that incrementally in different parts of the community, Bouquet, Soledad, and that's something we're certainly going to take a look at on an interim basis to address some of that along White's Canyon. Long term, for those parkways, the community and the residents who live up there would really need to give some thought and discussion as to what type of improvements they would like to see that may be maintained by a specific landscape maintenance district. But again, that's kind of getting ahead of us in the process.
Yeah, because that whole area, like if it rains, that's a safe route school. There's the junior high right there. There's an elementary school right off Stillmore and Pleasantdale, and then there's the high school, and it just floods, and the kids have to walk through all of that extra debris. Plus, those sidewalks are buckled. I use that as a running route, and it's kind of frustrating when I see the rest of the community getting these either nice new parkways, and they are sidewalks, and the parkways we have can't even be maintained.
Yeah, and again, sidewalk is something that we maintain. We have an annual concrete rehabilitation program, and we are out in different parts of the community right now with the budget that was allocated by the council this fiscal year, doing that work, and we program that into our budget every single year to go out and do sidewalk repairs throughout the community. I can tell you we are starting to get a little more aggressive when it comes to what causes those buckling, which is the trees. And if we are in a position where the trees, through pruning or root barriers, are not going to allow us to be able to maintain those improvements that we've just put in from buckling again for at least 10 years, we're going to start making decisions. And some of them will be very tough, but to remove trees and replant new, more appropriate trees so we don't keep coming back and repairing the same portions of the sidewalk again and again.
This monument sign is really huge, and my question or curiosity is, why is it so much larger than the Saugus monument sign?
That's a great question. The Saugus monument sign,
about 4 foot wide. So I was just wondering.
The Saugus monument sign was a project that was included in the, I believe it was the North Valencia 2 work that Newhall Land did back in the early 2000s, I think, 2003, 2004. They were conditioned to put a amount of funds towards that particular sign, with the thought of putting it in that particular triangle property, I think, as we referred to it. A couple reasons why it's smaller. One, it's a much smaller area to work in. Two, I believe staff worked with some residents out in the community, a group of residents, and that was actually a design that the community participated in and came up with. So a fairly large extent, that particular, the Saugus monument or rock was driven by the community.
So did our community get involved in any decision-making on this sign?
This was something that we have talked to the community about. It's something that we met with residents back in, I believe, early 2012. So yeah, there has been input from the community on this particular sign. And again, this is a freeway entry monument sign, and so to a large extent, what we really want to do is maintain consistency. So if someone comes into the community on Sand Canyon, they come into the community on Magic Mountain, they come into the community on McBean, they see a consistent type of sign, look and feel. So they understand that for, really for community branding purposes, that they're in Santa Clarita.